Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about Lamech and still continuing the series The Power of a Name. And Lamech was born in 874 AC after creation, and 1651 was when he passed away after creation. And his name in Hebrew means to make low, powerful, poor. Those are all definitions related in Hebrew to Lamech. In 1651 BC, if we're looking at the same dates, Job slash Joseph die. Job, we know from the book of Job, and Joseph, we know, is son of Jacob or Israel. So both of these men died. Both of these were men of high renown, high position, who had great riches. They were powerful, and then they are made low. They die. But I don't think that's the most important part in this year. I think the most important thing in 1651 BC that means to make low, Babylon falls. The great city of Babylon. It falls in 1651 BC. They are made low. A powerful city. The one that is all powerful back then. They are made low. And they are made poor. They are defeated. They fall. Alright. Then we are going to look at 874 AD. We have the Tang dynasty losing to peasants. Powerful. Made low. Defeated by the poor. Talk about coincidence, right? No, it's not coincidence. Look. Wang Changzi versus Yizong Emperor. Yang Changzi, poor peasant. Emperor, high. Guess who wins? Ta-da! In fact, I'm going to read both of these stories to you to make you understand what went on. So in the old age of Emperor Wang Zhang was a complacent and indifferent to state affairs. Hopelessly, he indulged himself in the beauty of his concubine Yang Yuhuan. Besides, he also appointed some wicked chancellors who corrupted the political order. So, meanwhile, his troops on the frontiers gradually gathered together and formed a powerful military force. In 755 AD, An Lushuan aligned with Shi Ximing and launched a rebellion called the Anshi Rebellion, which lasted for 8 years and heavily knocked the Tang regime. So from then on, the national strength was weakened daily by separatist forces in local areas. Because of the incompetence of the emperors, the dominance of the eunuchs, and power struggles between chancellors became increasingly intense. Hence, the Tang dynasty declined from generation to generation. In 859, a large-scale peasant uprising launched by Huang Chao again severely attacked the Tang regime. And in 907 AD, the last Tang emperor, Emperor Ai, was forced to abdicate by Chancellor Zhu Guozong, who afterwards changed the state title into Lang, Liang, finally putting the ever-powerful and mighty dynasty to an end. Now let's go to Wang Changxi, get a little background for it. Late in the Shangtong era, from 860 to 874 AD of Emperor Yizong, there were severe droughts and floods that caused terrible famine. Despite this, the Tang imperial government largely ignored the victims of these natural disasters. Instead of granting tax exemptions for affected areas, taxes were increased to fund Emperor Yizong's luxurious lifestyle and military campaigns. As a result, survivors grouped themselves into bands and rose to resist Tang rule. In 874, Wang Shangxi, who, like Huang Chao, was a salt privateer, and Shang Junzang, who I did mention, rose an army at Changyuan in modern Xinjiang, Henan province, I guess. By 875, he had repeatedly defeated Zhu Shang in battle, the military governor of Tianping Circuit, headquartered in modern Tai'an, Shandong. Huang had, by this point, also raised several thousand men and joined forces with Wang's now veteran troops. By this time, Emperor Yizong had died, and his young son, Emperor Zhizong, ruled. Late in 876, Wang was sought to parlay his victories into a peaceful submission to Tang authority, in which he would be generously treated by the throne. This was being mediated by Tang official Wang Lao, a close relation to Chancellor Wang Duo, and Pei Wo, the prefect of Qi Prefecture in modern Huanggang, Hubei. Under Wang Duo's insistence, Emperor Xizong commissioned Wang Changzi, an officer of the imperial left Shen's army, and delivered the commission to Qi Prefecture. However, Wang, who did not receive a commission as part of this arrangement, angrily stated, "When we started the rebellion, we made a grand oath, and we have marched through great distances with you. Now you are going to accept this office and go to the left Shen's army? What should these 5,000 men do?" That was his quote. He battered Wang Changzi on the head, and the rebel soldiers also clamored against their arrangement. Wang Changzi, fearing the wrath of his own army, turned against Pei and pillaged Qi Prefecture. However, afterwards, the rebel army broke up into two groups, with one following Wang Changxi and Shang Junzang, and one group following Huang. So, eventually the uprising kind of dwindled down. And this, following all this, is when the Fatimids start to come into play, mentioned in Daniel chapter 11, verses 7 through 8. And it says in that verse, "One from her family line will arise to take her place. He will attack the forces of the king of the north and enter his fortress. He will fight against them and be victorious. He will also seize their gods, their metal images, and their valuable articles of silver and gold, and carry them off to Egypt. For some years he will leave the king of the north alone." This is very distinctive of the Fatimid Caliphate. They built the Egyptian city of Cairo and made it their capital in 969 AD. They also derived their name from Muhammad's daughter, and the verse clearly indicates that the leader's ancestry was traced to a female, which is unusual. As I said, Fatimid died a few months after resisting Abu Bakr's takeover, following her father's death. Later, her husband and both sons were murdered. It is fitting that someone from her family line arise to take her place. So the Fatimid Caliphate was founded by Abdullah of Tunisia, who legitimized his claim as Imam by tracing his ancestry to one of Hussein's sons, and therefore to Fatima. Recall that the men of Karbala were beheaded, but not the women and children. The Fatimids were Ismaili Shiites, which is the second largest sect behind the Twelver Shiites. And the two groups split because they disagreed on the rightful sixth Imam, Ishmael or his younger brother. So, yeah, those were the two that they disagreed on. Regardless, the Fatimids attacked the north and took control of the southern half of the empire. They entered his fortress because a rebel general converted to Shiite and declared Fatimid rule in Baghdad for over a year. It is likely that the valuable articles were seized and taken to Egypt during that time. Their advancement stopped at that point, but the Fatimids ruled the southern empire from Cairo for more than 2 centuries, from 909 to 1171 AD. They reached their peak around 1040 AD, when they controlled Egypt, North Africa, Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, and Sicily. As the empire declined, Turkish invaders took Syria and Christian crusaders took Palestine. In 1171 AD, the Sultan Saladin, of Kurdish origin, took control of Cairo and founded the Ayyubid Caliphate. Saladin was a skilled warrior and spent the next decade restoring the southern empire into Syria and Palestine. Yet, he never attempted to conquer the Abbasids in Baghdad, which explains the last sentence of the verse in verse 8, which says, "For years he will leave the king of the north alone." Saladin remained in Damascus to defend against the Turks, while his brother Adil ruled Egypt. Following Saladin's death in 1193, the kingdom weakened and fell. So it's interesting that the leaders of the north and south both changed within a decade of each other. Cairo was lost to the Mamluks in 1250 AD, who became king of the south, and the Mongols defeated the Abbasids in 1258 AD and took Syria in 1260 AD, securing their position as the king of the north, which goes into the next verse and the next video, because the next video will start with Noah, who he was born in 1056 AC, and basically that's the reason why we're going to be discussing Noah, because he kind of falls into this Fatimid category, which is from, well, let's say he's from 909 to 1171, but as you can see, it also went to all the way to 1260 with the securing of the north position and the south position. So, yeah, I just wanted to touch on this in this video because I don't want to sort of like crowd the Noah video with too much information, because the Noah video is going to cover not only the definition of Noah, when he was born, when he died, and so on, but it will also discuss like not only like the meaning of his name and what things happened in the years related to 1056, but it will also discuss the Mongols, which are in Daniel chapter 11 verses 9 through 10. It'll discuss the Mamluks, which is Daniel 11 through 13. Then it will discuss the Mamluks, early Ottomans, and the Vision, which is the title of what it's written, and that's in Daniel 11:14. And it will discuss the Ottomans, which is the rise of the Ottoman Empire, in Daniel 11:15 through 16. And then Daniel 11:17. All this is between Noah and the start of Shem, Ham, and Japheth's birth. So it's a lot of stuff to discuss, which is why I chose to go ahead and get into the Fatimids in this video as well. Because not only am I doing the power of the name, but I'm also connecting it with how it ties in with history in order with Daniel chapter 11 of the things that are occurring one after another, to show you basically that history is repeating itself just by the definitions of the names, and it's doing itself in order. And we'll also be discussing the year that Noah died and how it relates in the BC as well. So, thank you for watching, and look forward to possibly a 2-part video on Noah. I'm guessing, because if it takes too long, I will do it in 2 parts. So, look forward to that. Thank you. Have a good day or night.